Wakey, wakey, the Kellogg's football camps are here, all over the country. It's game on. Learn new skills, make new friends, and have loads of fun at your local clubs. Grab your boots for a summer of football at the Kellogg's football camps. Parents, buy a promotional pack of Cocoa Pops, Rice Krispies and cornflakes before the end of June to claim a free day. To the Football for Kids podcast with me, Darren Rees. And welcome to part 2 on the story of the sensational defender, Pepe. Let's do a couple of your shout-outs and messages before we get into the episode. The first one is a huge shout-out to Freddie Wingates, who has sent me his England top 10 greatest of all time list. And I've got to tell you, it is a cracker. At number 1, he's got Harry Kane. Number 2, he's got Wayne Rooney. 3 is Bobby Moore. 4 is David Beckham. 5 is Alan Shearer. 6 is Peter Shilton. 7 is Gary Lineker. 8 is Bobby Charlton. 9 is Gordon Banks. And his 10 is Michael Owen. Well done, Freddie. A fantastic list, and thank you for taking the time to do it and also sending it in. The next one is a huge shout out to Ned, all the way over in Tasmania, who has come up with a brilliant idea for an episode in a couple of weeks. Ned has given me the idea of doing a Euro review episode, looking at all the stats, facts, biggest moments, biggest blunders, and everything else in between. That, Ned, is an amazing idea, and thank you so much for sharing it with me. If you've got ideas or you want to shout out or whatever it is, then please ask an adult to send an email to footballforkidspodcast@gmail.com. I can't guarantee that you'll make it onto the podcast just because of how many hundreds of messages come in every single week. But what I can promise you is I do eventually get to read every single message. Right then, let's get on with part 2 on the story of Pepe. So, we left episode 1 with Pepe joining Real Madrid. It was 2007 that Pepe joined Real Madrid, and in one of the El Clasico matches against their bitter rivals Barcelona, Pepe was so good, made so many match-saving tackles, and was so ferocious that he won Man of the Match and was the player who was spoken about in almost all the Spanish newspapers the next day. If Spanish football fans were not aware of him by now, well, they certainly were by this point. One of the many great players who Pepe played with was Casillas, the great Real Madrid goalkeeper. One of the greatest goalkeepers of all time, in fact. But reports suggest that he was a bit of a spiky character. When Pepe joined the Real Madrid squad, Casillas quizzed him and said, "Do you speak any Spanish?" Pepe said, "No, not really, just a little bit." Casillas told him, very bluntly, that he must speak it, and he needs to learn it to be able to fit in with the team. Oh, and there's an ending to this story, which goes nicely in Pepe's favour, but we'll save that for a little bit later on in the episode. Now, I know this is going to be hard to believe, but Pepe's ferocious style, brutal tackles and overspills of passion in the game got him into a bit of trouble on more than one occasion. He ended up getting carded a lot and was also shown the colour red far too many times. Not only did Pepe have the trouble of the cards coming out of the top pocket of the referee, but he also had the trouble of injuries, which was stopping him from playing, especially in the 2008 to 2009 season. These were tough times for Pepe, but times he got himself through. Pepe had won the league with Porto, and by the start of the 2008 season, he'd already won the league with Madrid. He'd faced some challenges due to his playing style and had to come back from injury. But it was in the 2010 season it's thought that he really started to feel at home, as his countryman Ricardo Carvalho, the Portuguese centre-back, joined Madrid, and the manager then became Jose Mourinho, the Portugueser. That season, Real Madrid and Pepe won the famous Copa del Rey, and Pepe was said to be really enjoying his football. Pepe spent 10 seasons with Real in the end. He won the La Liga with them on several occasions. He won the Copa del Rey, the Supercopa de España, the Champions League, the UEFA Super Cup, the FIFA Club World Cup, and the list goes on and on and on. Pepe then spent a couple of seasons in the Turkish top division, doing his thing, and his style was a style which the Turkish football fans very much appreciated. But after a couple of eventful seasons in the Turkish Football League, it was time to move back to the place where it all really started. And that was, of course, his homeland, his adopted homeland of Portugal, where he still plays today for FC Porto. Since returning to the Portuguese top division, Pepe has already won the league again on 2 separate occasions, and he still plays such an enormous part in the games. Even at the age which he is at the time of recording this, in July 2024, which is 41 years old. That is quite something. Now, we've spoken a lot about his journey, playing for clubs in the Portuguese leagues, his several seasons in La Liga, winning trophies across different countries in Europe, but the one thing we haven't spoken about yet is his incredible achievement playing for Portugal. So, Pepe became a citizen of Portugal, the country which accepted him and made him feel welcome, and it qualified him to play for the country when he could have so easily have chosen Brazil. In fact, according to his dad, it was reported that Pepe was approached by the Brazilian head coach, but he said that he'd already made his mind up and he would be staying and playing for Portugal. His international career kicked off all the way back in 2007. And since then, he has represented the country of Portugal for 18 years, in every Euros and in every World Cup. And my goodness, has he set some records. But before we get into those, I need to tell you a bit about his teammate in the Portugal squad, a man you might have heard of. His name is Cristiano Ronaldo. Since 2007, Cristiano and Pepe have been like brothers. They've trained together, they've played together, and they've got on extremely well. But did you know that Pepe actually met almost every member of Ronaldo's family before he met Chris, as he calls him? Ronaldo's dad was working near the first club in Portugal that Pepe played at, and he met him first. He then met his siblings, and then his mother, and then eventually, due to football of course, he met Cristiano himself, and the two of them have been pretty much inseparable since. In 2016, 9 years after his debut with the Portuguese national side, Pepe, Cristiano Ronaldo and the team won the Euros. Yet another trophy and honour to add to the very, very, very long list which is attached to the great Pepe. Pepe is still playing for the Portuguese team now, even in Euro 2024, and he has broken the record for the oldest player to play in a Euros tournament ever. And as they've made it to the knockout stages and to the quarter-finals at the time of recording this, he's broken yet another record as being the oldest player to make it to the knockout stages of a Euro tournament ever. It will take a long time before somebody beats that record. So, from growing up in Brazil to arriving in Portugal with a fiver to his name, to being brought by the world's biggest club for 30 million euros and breaking records for Portugal, the country which welcomed him. Pepe is a proper legend, a man who all teams and all countries would want on their side. And when he's on the other side of that white line, he's a gentleman and a player who is nothing but a joy to be around. So remember, if you know someone who loves football just as much as you do, then please tell them about Football for Kids. And whether you're playing football soon, watching it on the telly, or pitch side, I hope that you enjoy the game. See you next time. Oh, and I nearly forgot to tell you the end of the Casillas story. Casillas, the goalkeeper, who told Pepe that he had to learn Spanish, well, he ended up playing for the Portuguese side FC Porto, at the same time that Pepe was back at FC Porto. When Casillas joined the club, Pepe said to him, "Hey Casillas, what's your Portuguese like?" Casillas responded and said, little, I can speak a little. Pepe smiled and responded with, "That's not good enough, Casillas. You're going to have to learn it to fit into the team." Pepe 1, Casillas 0. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. And remember that Kellogg's have amazing football camps taking place throughout the school summer holidays all across the country. In fact, they're in 73 different locations across the UK. The camps are for 5 to 15-year-olds and are in partnership with the EFL, Manchester City, Celtic and Rangers with FA approved coaches. To sign up today, grab a promotional pack of Kellogg's cereal, find the camp code and redeem a free place at www.kellogsfc.com. Terms and conditions apply.